Well, hello there. This is Sonya Jones, your virtual CFO, and I forgot to turn my light on. Oh, geez. Okay. All right. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? All right. So today we are talking about grant tracking basics. And if you haven't checked out my video for grant tracking 101, um, make sure that you check that out. But today we're talking about grant tracking and best practices. So, what I have for you guys today is that I have for you, this is one of the grant tracking, which not one of the, probably the primary, the foundational grant tracking spreadsheet that I use for the grants that I track at my primary job, as well as for the grants for some of my clients as well. So I just wanted to kind of show you what those reimbursement trackings can look like based off of the two primary ways that you can receive grants, which would be through reimbursement and also through direct payment. Okay. And regardless if your grant is restricted, meaning that you have to spend the funds on specific items or in a specific way, or unrestricted, you can spend the funds whomever or however you choose. It's always good to keep track of those records because, especially if you're a nonprofit, depending on how much money you're receiving, or if you're a school, when it comes to those financial audits, they are going to ask you about the grants and all the revenue that you receive, and you got to be ready to pull documentation because they're going to do what they call a test to see if, one, that you are following the grant expectations, and two, if you're following your financial internal controls. Okay, so it's just good to document everything and also make sure that you are in line with your organization's financial procedures and internal controls. So without further ado, let's walk through the spreadsheet, shall we? And so here, this is an example of the reimbursement grant tracker. So remember, when we were talking about reimbursement grants, the way that those work is you will apply for the grant. If you are awarded the grant, the grantor or the organization who's awarding you the grant will let you know, like, hey, you've been allotted this amount, and you will have to submit reimbursements, meaning that you will have to make the purchase ahead of time, show or send the organization information that you've made that purchase, and then they will send you the money back. Now, if you are a school, uh, public, charter, um, private, whomever, right? Anybody who's receiving CARES Act or ESSER 2.0 or ESSER 3.0 funds, this will be the spreadsheet for you. Okay. Now, granted, I will say that mine may be kind of custom to how our district requires us to submit paperwork and stuff for our reimbursements. However, I tried to make things as broad as possible so you won't have anything related to um, anything that I've done with any of my affiliations. So, with that being said, what I have here are specific columns. These are our columns, right? Alphabets are columns, numbers are rows. For those of you who might not be uh, spreadsheet proficient, and that's okay. You're going to get a little something from your girl today. All right, so column A is the date that you sent your reimbursement to whoever your grant authorizer is, right? Every reimbursement, if your grantor is not requesting a reimbursement number, I would advise it's best practice to create reimbursement numbers for yourself for tracking purposes. Okay. And I just put a random one here. As you can see, it has CARE in the front because it represents, CARES Act, but you can do it however you want to. the request description or the reimbursement request description, which you purchased, will go here. The date that you receive the money, the time that the money goes into your organization's account, will go here. And that's why I got it highlighted in green all the way down. Okay. And because if you're dealing with ESSER or CARES funding, there are specific eligible expense categories, right? And every organization won't need to spend money in each category. It's really dependent either or, with the exception of the ESSER 3.0, because 20% of whatever your allocation is has to be spent on learning loss. Okay, that's for schools. But just like I said, regardless of the grant that you have, be very, very, very aware of what your eligible expenses are. So if you have specific categories, they will go here in the orange. All right, I'm sliding down. If you have a reimbursement that has not been paid out, okay, like we have here, this is what I would do. I'll just do a different example here. So I'll do today 8/1/21. I'll put care 00002, right? PPE, but we have not received the funds for it yet, right? So say if the power cord is for like equipment, right? This might be PPE, and you can change these out, right? I can change these out up here, but I'm not going to do that right now. So say if category 2 is PPE, right? I'll just put PPE. Boom. Here's my expense. I'm going to highlight this for me. I'm going to highlight this in gray because that lets me know that this expense has not been reimbursed yet. And I want to put the amount of the PPE, say it's $1,000. I'm going to put that here because I want to keep track of all of the expenses that we've applied for reimbursement for, but we haven't gotten the money for. Because if you need to follow up, it'll be easier to reference. So if you need to email your accounts receivable department or whoever, you can say, I'm asking for the status of reimbursement number here submitted to y'all on this date. It was for this amount. See how easy that is? You don't have to be digging up all those old papers and stuff like that. Right. So that's how I normally do that. Okay. So I'll keep that there. And as you are trying to figure out, especially like if you have any of the CARES or ESSER grants, because they are multi-year grants. I'm going to stay on ESSER 3.0 because that one, we can use those funds until 2024, right? So what I would do there for multi-year budgeting, I would probably put the future expenditures here. So say for, let's see, oh, we can do PPE for 22-23 school year. I'll put PPE category and then put $200. And that way, I'll know, especially when it's time for fiscal year budget prep for 22-23, I'll already know how much of the ESSER 3.0 funding we're going to use for that school year and what it's going to be used for. So I just like to take lots and lots and lots of notes. That's what I like to do right there. And I already have things, automatically auto-summed out, formulas everywhere. That's what I do. Okay. So that is that. And I'm going to scroll down. And you're like, oh boy, what in the world is all this goodness here? So you have to make sure, like I said, that you have lots of calculations and lots of feedback for all this tracking, right? If you do it right the first time, it's very much like passive income, right? If you set it up right the first time, you will not have to worry about it again. So let me walk you through all of this as well. And I added some good old notes here as well. So the beginning balance, right? This would be the amount of your award right here. So for this particular grant is 120,000. Save ESSER 3.0, you got 120,000, right? Woo, better than nothing. All right. So for your expenditures, all your total expenditures will be here. So let me back up a step. With your beginning balance and the amount of your grant, this 120,000 will be segmented out amongst your categories. So for easy tracking here, I just put 20,000 under each category. Whatever category you want to put there, like I said, those are customary. Matter of fact, let's go put that back there. All right. So out of the 120,000, I just evenly put 20,000 across all categories. Okay. And then as far as the expenditures, that would be the total of all of your expenditures that you put right here. Okay. So as you can tell, this is the reason why, I'm going to go back up. This is the reason why I put the PPE one over here, because any calculations or figures that I put here is it's not assumed, but that means that we have received that amount in funding, right? So in other words, you won't see this amount here unless you get a reimbursement date. If there's no reimbursement date, this 366.40 would be over here, and I would fill this in as gray because that lets me know that this purchase was under this particular category. That's what I would do there. So I wanted to show you what it would look like as a reimbursement request that had been paid, or a reimbursement request that has been pending and hasn't been fulfilled yet. Okay, I'm gonna mosey on back down here. All right, so that's that. For the ESSER grants, for what should happen is that throughout and like I said, I'm just going to stay on ESSER 3.0 right now because that's the biggest one. And this would also go for any like state grants. I'm talking to pretty much schools now. State grants, or even Title I for that matter, they should give you time to change your budget if you need to, meaning like if you have to add more money to category 3 and take away some money from category 5. That's what that means. Okay. So in that event, if you have to do that, that's where you have these two rows here: budget transfer positive, budget transfer negative. So say for example, if I have in category 2, I need about I'll just make it easy. I need about $10,000 more here. So I'm going to change this to 30. Boom, boom, boom. Bam. Right. And then I want to take, that means if I add something to that, I'm going to have to take some money away because the 120,000 still needs to be the same. So you see what I did there? So what I would do here, I would add the 10,000 because that's a budget transfer positive. That means it's an increase. I'll put that there. Okay. So, I will probably, since that was there, I guess I'll keep that there. There we go. That's what I'll do. Oh, that was the wrong thing. Let me go back. Put that on the money. There we go. Let's slide this over so I can slide that over. There you go. Excuse me. So with that being said, we put that back. Okay, there you go. And let me change this format because I'm just feng shui like that. Was that Calibri 11? Did I do that right? Oh, it's still twirling. Hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, it's 9. My bad. It's being a clown today. There we go. All right. So with that being said, let's start here first. So what I did here started off as 20,000. So I added the $10,000 here. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm gonna slide over here so you can see the note. So if budget changes are made, make your adjustments here and add notes of your changes, right? So what I'll do here, I'll add a note and say budget adjusted 8/1/21. And if you want to add details, you can. That's totally fine. And if you want to add adjustments here, add a note, budget adjusted 8/1/21. So sorry for that faux pas, because I just want to make sure all of my formulas were right. So you have your original budget here. And if you got any, like I said, adjustments that need to be made, you can do that here. Now, if you, within the 3 years, you still need to make more and more adjustments, say you need to do, let's see, maybe you need to take out 5, right? So in this regard, so if you're taking out, wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. And here you had to, I'll take that back. I don't want to do that. I want to add that here. So say you got 15,000 and you want to make an adjustment. What I would do here, I would say budget adjusted, added 10K, right? And then just keep track and just maintain that same running detail. So budget adjusted, added 5K, 8/1/21, whatever it is. Got it. So if I add it here, that means I gotta take something from somewhere else, right? So I'll take, the $5. No, not just $5. 5. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. All right. So with that being said, same thing. New note. Budget adjusted minus 5K, 8/1/21. Just like that. And then, like I said, if by chance, if you need to adjust again, and take things out, everything should tie in together. And let me make sure I got this right though, because I want to make sure. If not, then guess what? We're gonna fix it live. Shoot. All right, so for here, say that we had 15,000 and maybe we need to take $5,000 away, right? So we need to take 5, boom, boom, boom. Take 5 out. Then we need to add 5 somewhere else, right? So we're going to add 5 here. Oh, let me check something. Make sure all these big old numbers. Because I want my stuff to be uniform. All right, there we go. Take little dude out. All right. So wherever, like I said, it's got to be balanced. So if you took 5 here, it means you got to add 5 somewhere else, right? And so you'll make the balance transfer. Matter of fact, let's do this because I want these to be different dates, just for example purposes. Budget adjustment minus 5K. We're going to do September 1st, 21, right? Going to the future. All right, so since we took it away here, we're going to add it here. Edit note. Budget adjustment added 5K 9/1/21. And so, yes, it looks tedious, but I promise you, when your board members ask you, so what happened here, 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 and here? All you gotta do is check your notes. As long as you keep everything together, you should be fine. Okay. So that's pretty much how that will go. If you notice, I did not put the totals here only because I didn't want it to mess up your balance overall. Okay. Because these totals right here really don't matter. But if you wanted to just make sure that your balances and stuff were aligned, let me see here. If you wanted to, you could, let's see here. This number here should match these numbers here. The total of this should match here. Right, that's right. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's go to, for those of you who might not be familiar with Excel, you're gonna get your lesson today. All right, so home, you see the sigma sign? Shout out to my bros, blue fire, you know. How's that? So we're gonna do an auto sum. And we're going to do the total of the bottom row here. That's what we got. So it should equal to that right there. So what we got? If you see all those number signs, that means that the number's too big. And there you go. Ooh, I'll swear because I'm like, Lord, don't let this thing be wrong. Woo! Right. So, and there you have it. Just to make sure that your budget and things are right. And if you want to I do this all the time just to make sure my math is right. I'll just take a random cell, do my little formulas, and as long as it's cool, it should be all right. I do that all day long. So there you go. And just delete it. No big deal. And then I will save it. So that's pretty much all you got to do right there. So with that being said, I am going to, I'll just keep it there for purposes. All right, so that's pretty much that on that. So like I said, here's your grant amount. Here's your total categories here, the original budget categories. And then, like I said, once you adjust everything, this would be your adjusted budget. And then minus the expense right there, it should still equal to 120. Gotcha. So that's what you have right there. All right. So that's what the reimbursement tracking looks like. Now, if you have a direct payment grant and small businesses, if you want to do this for the PPP, you are more than welcome to do so because you have to keep your records. If memory serves me correctly, I think 5 or 6 years. So it would just be really good to go ahead, just go and save this stuff here, especially if you are separating, if you're using payroll and non-payroll expenses. I will put that here. So I'll have payroll here, non-payroll here, or if you even want to just keep it all more detailed, wages, taxes, non-operating office, non-operating utilities, non-operating, all that type of stuff. You can make as many of these as you want to. All you gotta do is click on the column, right click, insert, bam, all day. So the more detailed you are, the safer you're gonna be in my eyes. That's just me. All right, so that's that. So if you have a direct payment, and this will also work for the EIDL as well, although it is not a grant, it is a loan. I would definitely keep this on record, those expenses on record as well, because you have to keep those records, I think, even longer. I can't remember off the top of my head. So there you go. So another thing that I also put on here that I don't think I put on the other one. Let me go back and see. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. So for the direct payment grant, you can add this to the reimbursement one if you want to. It's totally up to you. So I like putting the grant details up here so I can see and have everything in one place. So I won't have to be flipping through Word docs and stuff like that. So if like what we talked about in the previous video, if you have a deadline for purchasing items for the grant, as opposed to a deadline for submitting your expenses, or all your deadlines you can put right here in this yellow box on the grant details. You can put your total allocation right here in the grant details, as also in here if you want to, down here at the bottom. Anything that's going to be pertinent to this grant that you need to see on a regular basis, you need to put this in this grant details box up here. Okay. So, like I said, the direct payment grant tracking, you already have the funds. So you got the grant award right here, $23,650, right? Date of purchase, June 26th. Purchase description, put that there. Amount of the purchase, $29.65. Put it under your expense, right? And we can do this here because remember, this is not a reimbursement. We already got the funds. So we're just keeping track of how we're spending the funds. And if you want to put here, like, was that purchase made by check, credit card, debit card? If you're using a check, if you wrote a check, which check number? When did the check clear? All that. Put all of that in the description. Because I promise you, when the auditor says, I need this expense, send me all your paperwork for this expense. You don't want to be having 5 or 6 people trying to find stuff. If you get all the information right here in this description, you will be fine. Okay, you can type it here, or you can right click and put it in a note. Check 5522. What was that? We purchased it in let's see, June 26th. I mean, it probably cleared on the 2nd, right? Clear 7221. Whatever other information you want to put right there. Bam, there you go. Like I said, the more information you have, the safer you're going to be. Hold on. Uh-oh. I don't like my stuff looking raggedy, y'all, especially if I'm showing it to company. There we go. All right, so you got your grant award. Bam. Got your expenditures. It's the same format as before, y'all. Same format as before. I got your expense right here. Okay. If you have a budgeted amount for each category, fine. If you don't have to put that right here. Okay. So that's why I left that blank. And then you have your balance, awards minus expenditures, balance. The percentage spent, the only thing you got to do here, click on your cell, go to home. And when you get ready to do the formula, you're going to put it equal sign. You're going to do expenses, which is C10, divided by the amount of the award, C9. And then you got 12.54%. Because it should already be on. Yep, percent style. That's it. Okay, and then once you spend everything, it'll be at 100%. Cool. All right. So that's pretty much how I track all of our grants and stuff like that. So it's just, and like I said, I know it's easy for the number for the if you're not a numbers person, I get it. You're like, child, look, I get it. But please share this with your anybody that is in your like office, admin assistants, accounts payable, accounts receivable, grant analyst, whomever. Um, share this video with them, okay? Because I got a special little surprise at the end. Ooh. Okay, so let's talk about best practices, shall we? So best practices. I'm going to, I think I'm gonna stop sharing right here. All right, because I won't talk to y'all. Got my notes up here with me. Let me take a swig of the H2O. All right, and just I guess a commercial break while I'm trying to gain my bearings here. You see my shirt right here? I took a class. It's a certificate in education finance from Georgetown University. It's called, I think, Economics, something like that. I think it's Economics. I can never get that right, but I'll make sure to put a link of the class. I think they're going to do 2 more classes in the fall. If you know anybody that's interested in education finance, I know the bulk of this has been, about nonprofits and schools, but I just want to make sure that I cover all bases. I love everybody. I love individuals. I'm going to do some stuff on individuals for families. I'm going to do a budget class in August. Tell anybody. And so I just want to make sure I got all my bases covered so I can spread all my love to everybody. So with that being said, I'll make sure to put a link to that class in there as well. So first thing, everybody say delegate. Delegate. Got it. For me, I think of delegation as giving stuff to people inside your organization. Outsourcing is giving tasks to people outside of your organization. So you can do it either way, delegate, outsource, however you want to do it. That's fine. But just make sure that you try to keep as much off of your plate as possible because I just know for me, when we had our last ESSA 3.0 meeting at my job, I was telling my team, like, dude, this is gonna be this is gonna take up a great deal of my time. So I'm just telling you now, start delegating, start delegating. And what I will also say is this word on the street, ESSA 3.0, there is an allotment. You can use a portion of your funding for additional resources um, for grant tracking, accounting, stuff like that. So if you got any people on your squad that want some extra work or give them a stipend, for some extra duties, do it. Do it quickly. All right. So, and one of the things that I'm going to do for my team, because we have ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3. ESSER 1 is also known as the CARES Act. Title 1, there's supposed to be some state grants coming down the pike. So if you're a small business and you got the EIDL, you got the PPP, you got some local COVID grants that you received and stuff like that, that's a lot. If you're a nonprofit and you get all these different grants floating around, that's a lot. And every grant is going to require something slightly different than the other ones. They just are. And people are going to, whoever overseeing on grants are going to be petty. And you got to understand too that there's going to be a lot of turnover in staffing because of those things. And it's always good to just make sure that your team has some understanding about what's going on. So what I'm going to do is create a checklist for each grant. We're going to have project checklist, task checklist. Do we do this? For this grant, do we do this, right? For each person, this. this, because the goal when it's time to submit for those reimbursements, particularly, you want to make sure that you do that at least one time, possibly two, before you send it off to get your money. Because you don't want to be going back saying, oh, dog, they forgot this document. And then they got to go because something's going on here, or they're tied up in something else and you got to do it, and that's taking you from your, yeah, right. We're going to try to eliminate all of that. So, checklist. Hallelujah. And glory to the name of Jesus. So we got checklist. Okay. Second thing, create submission examples in case your in-house crew can't make it to said district or state meetings. Yes. So, for example, for our record specialist, we have a wonderful individual on our team, and all she does is financial paperwork. She does all the financial back, she tracks every receipt, prepares every invoice for when we have to sublease, we have partnerships with the district with other things we have to do, and we lease out our building and stuff like that. So it's just very, very important. Like I said, especially if you're the financial leader or you're the admin, maybe you might be the principal of a single site charter and you have to be all things to everybody. I'm praying for you now if you are the school leader and you also have to do some type of finance and accounting. You're immortal. I don't even know where you came from. Just saying, you just came from on high, right? So, in that regard, it would always be good to say, look, if we have an expense that's going for reimbursement and it was paid by credit card, they're asking for this. And I'm giving you this as an example with highlights going all the way through it. So, for example, one of ours, like if you got a credit card purchase, right? And you're using ye old Amazon, granted that is under non-bid requirements, right? Say it's $100, right? And you're buying some some batteries for your automatic paper towel dispensers and stuff like that, right? So about $100 worth of batteries. Get on Amazon and you buy those batteries with the school credit card, right? And if your school's like our school, we got three leaders that have access to credit cards, right? So you got that Amazon receipt, get that printable invoice, right? And you're gonna highlight the price. You got the receipt, right? Bam. Then you're gonna get the credit card statement that shows the Amazon purchase, $100. Bam, you're gonna highlight that. And you're also gonna highlight at the top of the statement, wherever the payment was, you're gonna highlight that too. Why? Because they're gonna want to see that you also have been paying your credit card bills. These folks are not playing with y'all today. They're not playing. They are not playing. So guess what? Then you got to go get the bank statement, and you got to highlight the credit card payment that's on this statement as well. So I put all that for an example, so they'll see also what type of what a credit card purchase should look like and everything that it will entail, because those documents are going to be standard for that type of purchase. Also, let me also say this: if you have, for especially for credit cards, if you guys have multiple people with credit cards, you should have what they call a control account statement. So for us, we get a control account statement, and then we get a separate statement for each person who has a credit card. Make sure that you add the control account statement, because that's going to be the statement that shows the credit card payment. Okay? Because if you don't, they're going to kick it back. It's like, we don't see that you've been paying your credit card bills on time. All right, so make sure you do that. So credit card, purchase receipt, credit card statement, the control account credit card statement. Highlight the purchase, you highlight the credit card payment, then you get your bank checking account, highlight where you pay the credit card. I take all of those, print them out, highlight them in color, make sure that they are scanned in color. If you got to submit them, make sure electronically. Make sure your folks know how to scan in color. I promise y'all, I'm just telling you, got it. So there you go. Because you don't want any kickbacks. Because in every kickback, that's probably going to be an additional 2 weeks to 30 days for you to get your money. You don't want to do that. Okay. So be very, it might seem elementary. It might seem like, you don't want to dumb it down for people, but I promise you, you better go ahead and take care of that stuff so you can get your money. Because at the end of the day, the board of directors want to know that the cash flow is coming in. All right. So delegate, create submission examples, send your team links to webinars and emails, and schedule time to powwow. With all this stuff going on, it's going to be several updates. Coronavirus is still out here, which means there might be some other funding coming down the pipe. We don't know what's going to happen. But if there are any updates coming from your grantor about your grant, or about any type of process changes, make sure your whole team, anybody that's affected in preparing this reimbursement or managing your grant, everybody needs to be aware of it. Everybody. And y'all should be meeting about it on a regular basis. Okay, at least once a month, whether you guys check in all together on Zoom or you check in with everybody individually. Make sure that you went through the whole process with everybody on your team. Got it? Because as a leader, that's your responsibility to do that. All righty then. Create a project plan if you need to for reimbursements. If you got a larger school, and this is probably like if you got a CMO, right? If you're like a KIP or a Green Dot or somebody, and you got different schools, right? And you might have a central accounting department, right? Everybody may have a different task in that reimbursement. So that needs to be crystal clear who is doing what. And those deadlines have to be clear, right? So if you guys are submitting reimbursement, for example, for July purchases, right? Because it's August the 1st. So that means if the district wants those reimbursements for July by August the 15th, right? The financials have to be done by a certain time. Accounts receivable have to have their paperwork done by a certain time. The grant analysts have to have their paperwork done by a certain time. Who's preparing the reimbursement? They have to have the reimbursement done so the review can be done before it's uploaded and sent to the district for the reimbursement request. It's a lot of steps. You got to know who's doing what and when they're doing what, and if they're not doing what, why they're not doing it, all of that. All right, so next, create a grant calendar for the board or your leadership. I'm gonna take another sip of water on this one. I know that, and we talked about this in my class, that as fortunate as the schools are to get the money, a lot of schools don't kind of know what we're gonna do, how we're gonna spend it, right? And what you don't want are your leaders, your principals. If you're in the district office, you don't want your principals. If you're a CMO, you don't want your principals. Or if you're a single site charter, you want your department heads just like, whoo, can we buy this? Can we buy this? Can we buy this? Elsa, 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 Elsa. Can we get this? It's Elsa, Elsa, Elsa. You're just like, no, this is not what we're gonna do. This is not Christmas. It's not Christmas. So what you need to do is make sure, if you can plan them, if you can get your multi-year budget planning done early, do that. If you're a small business and you got the EID loan, you can't ball out. You just can't. You can't do it. I'm sorry. You can't ball out. I know you want to, but you can't ball out. It's good for you to at least try to take that money and pace it out. Because you still have to, the goal for the EIDL and the PPP is to keep your employees employed and keep your business in operation. So you got to make sure that your operating expenses are still taken care of. And you got to make sure that your money is being properly used. Okay. So it is important that you at least have a grant calendar saying that, hey, for the July, if we're going to submit reimbursement in August for July expenses, these are the expenses that we're going to be seeking reimbursement for. September, for August reimbursements, these are the things we're submitting for in August. And if you do something like that, then for us, our record specialist can be like, okay, I'll be looking out for these expenses. And then she can print stuff out and give it to our reimbursement individual who prepares our reimbursements, and they already know what to be looking out for. So that means if the record specialist has a purchase in there that wasn't on the grant calendar, then they can rap about that, talk square biz, and get that thing rectified. I ain't got to be a part of it. See what I'm talking about? That's what I'm talking about. So, like I said, the more detailed you are, the safer this thing will be, and it's going to be smooth sailing. Right. And also, that will also help your leadership, because sometimes they might have, just a little bit of niche, just a little bit, because they're like, can we get this for Elsa? All right, we're gonna submit stuff for this for Elsa, but then they might want to get something else that was similar to what y'all already bought. That's why you need to have the grant calendar. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. So make sure that you have a grant calendar, a project plan, identify who's going to be involved in the grant process from application to award. If it's a reimbursement, award reimbursement. If it's a direct payment, from grant analyst who's going to be responsible for maintaining the tracking of that grant, because you're going to have to report that information to your board of directors or whomever your leadership is, right? And also make sure your team is thoroughly informed. Whatever information that you get, you make sure your team receives it, and you make sure that they are listening to those webinars, because they need to be responsible for the same information that you are. Okay. As well as create submission examples, right? Don't worry about if it's elementary. Uh, I was going to do the Sherlock Holmes reference, but I forgot it. So, but never mind. Just make sure, remember, the goal is one and done. Okay. Give them examples, because if you're out and you don't want anybody to text you or call you, make sure that they have thorough references so they'll know how to get things together. And what if those people are out and y'all need to delegate? They already have examples of what they need to look for and how to prepare documentation. And also delegate, what I call delegation station. If I had I'm gonna get a train hat. Y'all just gave me an idea. I'm gonna get a train hat. Delegation station. Let's go. All right, delegation or outsource. Get somebody to help you, man, because you can't do it all. And like I said, especially with this CARES grant, PPP, EIDL, I'm gonna lift my whole laptop up and get right here in your face. This is Fed money, federal government money. All right, hallelujah. Put it right back there. It's Fed money. So we're gonna need to be all the way together. All right, all the way together. All right, so I have spent a lot of time here I know it's probably almost an hour, but I told you it was going to be chock full of information though. So, oh, it's one more thing I put on my thing. Yes, very, very important. We did not talk about payroll eligible expenses because, especially with ESSER 3.0, even with nonprofits, if you got program funding and you're hiring people under said grants, you have to make sure that your payroll paperwork is pristine, specifically if you are utilizing people for stipend work that's eligible for ESSER or any type of, like I said, program funding and stuff like that. If you have any type of control over your payroll and what your earning codes are, I would highly recommend that you create specific earning codes to distinguish that individual's regular salary, their regular earnings, versus their stipend earnings that are going to be reimbursable under these particular grants. Okay? Because it's going to be easier to track that way. Also, if they want to know, say, how much you spent all together on like stipends for tutoring, right? Learning loss and stuff like that. Make you a specific code for tutoring. So you'll have it for the individual when you have to print check stubs and they can see the gross earning amount. Also, you can print an earnings report based off of that one particular earnings code. And you can have that there also in case somebody else higher up wants to see like how much did y'all actually spend for tutoring for that school year for ESSER 3.0 funding. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you knew that. It's just like I said, the more detailed you are, man, it'll keep you out the office. You won't get in trouble. Okay, so I hope that this has been beneficial to you. I know I'm a clown. I apologize. It's Sunday, and I still got lots of work to do before I go to work in the morning. So, but the surprise I have for you is the spreadsheet that I showed y'all. I'm offering it to you guys for $10. $10. And it is color coded, has all the formulas in there, all of that good stuff. And the link for access to the spreadsheet is below as well as $10. Once you click on the buy now $10, you'll put your information in. It's through Stripe. It's processed through Stripe. And then as soon as you pay for it, they'll say thank you. You can click here to get access to the spreadsheet. It's going to be in Excel format. It should have a link through Dropbox, if I'm not mistaken. And you just download it from there. If by chance, if you have any issues accessing that spreadsheet from that platform, just email me at info@gipfinancials.com, and I'll leave that information down there at the bottom too. So I'm going to give you the spreadsheet for $10, and you can, once you get the spreadsheet, you can this particular video, of course, is going to be on YouTube for free. You can just go backtrack if you need to. Share this with any of your nonprofit colleagues or school colleagues, whatever I can do to help make this easier for you. This is kind of like my teacher spreadsheet price. So like I said, it's a very small investment, but it's going to save you a whole lot of time. And also, if you guys need some extra help, it's like, I really want to use this spreadsheet, but I'm not the Excel chick. You can schedule a consultation with me. And if you need assistance in tracking your grants and stuff like that, I can definitely quote you a price for that as well. If you are a charter school or a nonprofit and you need grant assistance, uh, schedule a consultation with me and I'll go through the same thing with you guys. I'll send you an invoice or quote, whatever is required for me to partner with you guys, because we got to make sure that everybody is good. Okay, because this is federal money and this is serious and we are not playing. They are not playing. All right. Um, so that's all that I have for y'all. Thank you guys again for listening to me. I greatly appreciate all of the support. And let's grow together, man. Get in position. Let's go. Let's go. See you later.